All right, SML, here we go. It's the SML Mock Team Draft 2.0. I've got Bean here, and we're gonna go with a little too early. I think we don't even have team ratings. We don't know what the rookies devs are gonna be, but I don't know about you, but I'm bored as hell with 23. So let's try Mock 2.0. You ready to do this, Bean?
Yeah, I mean, if I get at least five right, I think I'll be happy. This is way too early, but right now we're sitting in like the article apocalypse where everything's written, so I figured this would be change for once.
Yeah, I feel like actually these early ones seem to do a little better. I think it's before everybody starts blowing smoke, and then they go with the team that probably is the best fit or fits their play style, and so the later ones fall into the trap where you're listening to the smoke, and here it's just what makes sense. So
Yeah,
with
I don't.
that, talking about making sense and not falling for smoke, we both pick number one, Prime in the Colts. I don't think there's any chance he goes with anything different. Favorite team, top five pick, and took a quarterback who's probably going to be the most fun Madden quarterback, probably the worst rookie quarterback in the
Yep.
league, but the best for Madden. I don't think there's any way he doesn't take the Colts. What do you think?
Yeah, this was the it was the easiest lock, and it's nice having this lock up here at the top because nothing can change it.
Yeah,
Now we're only fighting for 31 other teams, but I think you and I both had the this backup 99.99% he goes with the Colts, but if he doesn't, it's got to be the Bills just to show up Dan and Faz, but I don't
yeah,
even think that's worth chasing at this point.
yeah.
I
No,
think it's
if
got to
there
be the Colts.
if there somehow were a second team, it would definitely be, I think, the Bills to show up. Dan, I also think there's something he took the Chargers after the blip, um, because he was having a rough go of it the end of last cycle, and then the beginning of this cycle didn't have a Super Bowl in the two seasons. I wonder if maybe he's sensing that with the Colts he might not be able to win as easily. So I still think it's 99.99999% chance it's the Colts, but the Bills would be the outlier just to show up Dan, I think.
Yeah, that's kind of how I felt about it as well.
All right, so pick two. I've got myself at two. I'm still leaning the Chargers, I think. I think if this cycle has taught me anything, it's that a quarterback is important, and I have never in my SML time had a superstar quarterback that was good. I have one now, and he's basically a running back with 87 throw power. Um, the Chargers team looks really good. Joey Bosa, a Buckeye, and then you have they just picked up a receiver out of TCU who's going to be really good to go with Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. That Chargers team looks really good, and it looks like it's a pretty much guaranteed Super Bowl when you take them.
Yeah, I guess I can't really argue with you. You're picking for yourself here, but I kind of went with the Bears. I know this was kind of the 3 months ago topic was you taking the Bears, but the only time I've been in the SML with you full cycle was the Browns and now
Oh yeah,
the Eagles, and I really don't think you enjoy having these pre-built teams for you. I think the Chargers are that exact same thing where you don't. I mean, you can team build, you can still make trades, but there's nothing to really work for, and I feel like you get bored with the game fast, and as soon as you get bored with the game, I think you start to look off games, that you shouldn't, and then
yeah, I
kind of
can see
cycles
that.
from there.
I can see the
So I,
Bears are
I
definitely
went with
still on my list.
yeah, I went with the Bears, and then my backup obviously is the Texans. I don't think you want to have your predetermined division with Prime, Faz, and
Yeah,
whoever we have at 32,
yeah,
but I guess that was the tiebreaker between the Bears and the Texans for
yeah.
me.
That would be a tough division. On my list though, I still have the Chargers, the Bears, the Bengals, the Chiefs, the Texans, and the Jets. Probably all still teams that I would consider.
Yeah,
And
in
there's a
my list
theme
I
there.
didn't send to you. My like tertiary list was the Chargers Bengals. I think the Bengals are a more fun team.
Yeah,
Obviously, I took them a little bit ago, but Chargers just seem so boring. I guess it also depends what their abilities are because you have so many
that's true.
superstars on the Chargers team. If they change the abilities up, they don't look nearly as good as the Bengals
Yeah,
just
that
because
is
of the
true.
receivers alone.
Yeah,
And if you have Joe Mixon, you have a cycle running back right there.
yeah, yeah. I could definitely fall in love with the Bengals too. That
I think I did.
the Joe Burrow 88 throw power would be the only thing.
As
But
long as he has that pass lead a lead or whatever, I
yeah,
think that's the only thing. Very, very seldom do you have to hit a 90-yard bomb or lob pass.
That's true.
Jamar Chase, I mean, he burns past everyone regardless. You can bullet to him. T. Higgins, you just have to highball all day.
All
Yeah, I think if I had to pick between those two for you, I'd pick the Bengals.
right, I'll keep that in mind. Uh, Pick three though, we have Matt. I gave Matt the Eagles. Um, I think he has Tua right now, and he's doing really well with 87 throw power. Seems to have no problem throwing to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. So I don't think the throw power would scare him off of the Eagles with Jalen Hurts. And who knows? I mean, we don't know what Jalen Hurts is going to be, but
Oh yeah.
history suggests it's going to be basically the same. So I haven't taken the Eagles. I think that's a pretty well-made team already. You've got superstars everywhere. And Matt doesn't usually take a bad team. I know he'll talk about, I'm going to take the Texans. I'm going to take this team, that team. It's usually a good team. We saw him take the Chargers pre-blip, and then he took the team he is
Dolphins.
now. Yeah, the Dolphins. Uh, Blanked on that one. And then even last cycle, he took the Steelers, and then he took the Jags. Jags more of a project team, but they were one that was good to build. We also blipped fairly early. It was after the second draft or in the second draft.
Yeah.
So I think the Eagles would be a good fit for him. He's got pass rushers on that team. He's got a secondary. Defense is kind of his thing. And then the only thing you're really missing is maybe a running back, but Swift should be good enough.
Yeah, my pick here is the Bengals, and I won't bore everyone with repeating the exact same spiel I just gave to Bomber. So, kind of for the same reasons, we know he wants a good team, and he's in love with this idea of having a good quarterback.
Yeah.
And I think both those things, especially if you go Chargers and they're not there, and I guess he wouldn't even take the Chargers. He already had them. I think Bengals are my clear-cut choice here.
Yeah, I'm assuming other than like Prime taking the Colts and maybe D-Muse taking the Saints, most guys probably aren't going to double up. But you never know. We had a lot double up after the blip. I was surprised how many did.
Yeah, I guess my two backup teams there are the Seahawks, just because that's his team, and I think they're actually really good for Madden this year.
Yeah.
And then the Chiefs for, I guess, the same reason as
Yep.
the
Chiefs were one of my
Bengals.
backup teams for him.
Mahomes.
Yeah, and he said
Mahomes
something
is
I
too
think
good.
last before the blip or after the blip, I guess before the draft, that he would have taken the Chiefs had Woods not taken them. So it could have a chance to right that. But next up, we got QP. And if I take the Chargers, I fully expect QP is going to take the Chiefs. QP is a guy he took the Lions, but he didn't win anything with the Lions till he got Herbert. And
Yep.
I think he wants to have a good quarterback. He likes to pass. He's spent this post blip era with Davis Mills, who's not exactly the greatest quarterback, and he's got him up to X Factor, I think now. But he still has games where he struggles because being X Factor, he's still not a high enough overall with the higher ratings. So I think he would like to get another run with a top quarterback, and then maybe get some Super Bowls. Because right now I think he's blanked, and we only have one season left. So
Yep.
far cry from last season or last cycle where he had what, 3?
At least 3, I thought.
I think he had
I know.
two wins, 3 appearances, something like that. Maybe
Yeah, I know
4.
I think he lost 2 to Faz in the
Yeah.
Super Bowl. I could be wrong though, but
So
yeah, for him, I've got the Chargers if they're here. Obviously, he's gonna take the Chargers. I don't think that's obvious. That's just the
Yeah.
most obvious thing ever. Herbert's only a superstar. He'll easily dev him to X Factor. Assuming Herbert's only a superstar, but I
that's
can't
true.
imagine
Yeah,
he's
we
an
don't.
X Factor. He'll easily dev him in a season. Then he'll have
Yep.
the chance to get the those crazy pass lead elite abilities, assuming the ability system stays the same
Yeah.
as this past year.
Yeah, and then I've got him even as the other teams possible. Maybe the Bengals, the Bills, or the Panthers. 2 with X Factor quarterbacks and 1. I think he would have fun taking Bryce Young and using him, and then that Panthers. Really, the NFC looks like it's going to be fairly weak, at least from a roster standpoint. I don't know who all is going to go to the NFC, but the rosters definitely favor the AFC. We'll see if
Yeah, without actually looking at who I have taken these NFC teams, I don't think it's going to be much
no, I mean,
competition there. If he manages to get, a good quarterback and some weapons that he can dev up, I think that would be QP's. He would probably be in like 6 out of 8 Super Bowls.
yeah. All right, so then moving to number 5, we've got Dan, and we've actually both got the same pick. I don't feel super confident about this. I've got him taking the Steelers. He said he's going to take the Steelers before, hasn't taken the Steelers. I could actually see him taking them this time because they've got some nice pieces, and he did have them in primer, so maybe he'll take them. But I don't even know if he's a Steelers fan anymore. He might be a Colts fan. But
Yeah, well, the Colts aren't there for us.
yeah, I've got the Panthers and Seahawks as 2 other opportunities I could see him going to. They're both kind of that Dan type team where they're not a super all the way put together team, but there's a lot of pieces there to make them sneaky good. And I think that's kind of right up his alley. We saw him do it with the Falcons. It didn't work out very well for him because Faz kind of took over at the end of that cycle.
He won a Super Bowl, though.
He did win a Super Bowl in the first season and then disappeared the rest of the cycle.
Yeah.
So it is kind of his type of team, and then he would be in the NFC where it's again the rosters. You're not going to be outgunned by the rosters too much over there.
Yeah, I went with the Steelers solely here until the game comes out and we find whichever mechanic he's going to hone in on and focus all of his attention to. I'm not going to pick he's going to get deep into the attributes as soon as he finds a quarterback attribute that he thinks is like has its weight in gold or whatever. I'm just going to stick with the Steelers.
Yeah, I think that they're probably the favorite right now, and he'll probably tell you it's at like 96.3%, but we'll find out.
Yeah, I've heard his
after the season. Yeah, we'll find out what his percentages are after this season. All right, so next up is you, and much like Dan always says, he's going to take the Steelers. It's not quite as much as I've heard you say you're going to take the Patriots, and I haven't seen you take the Patriots, so I'm giving you the Jets here. I think you get a good quarterback with a really good team. And it's a quarterback that would pretty much immediately be tradable, most likely. I assume he'll be under the 95 threshold.
I'm not sure what his contract is, but
yeah,
assuming he got the same contract as.
Yeah, I didn't think they extended him or did anything to his contract, so he should have like 1 year left.
Interesting.
So he would be tradable, which we've seen you trade superstar quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be unheard of, and I think the Jets are a really solid team. They actually remind me a lot of the Jaguars from this year, minus having a young quarterback. They've got an old quarterback, but possibly the best one in the game.
Don't be counting out Zach Wilson now. He's elite for sure.
I could definitely see you rolling with Zach Wilson after you trade Aaron Rodgers.
Fair enough.
3 first-round picks because now you can do 3 seasons.
For me, I obviously gave myself the Patriots, but I'm definitely going to take the Patriots in one of my leagues this year. I'm in how many now? Like 4, I swear. So 2 of the other teams that I put down for myself were 2 of the teams that I inquired about post-blip. I messaged the guys, but neither of them were opting out. So the Vikings and the Seahawks. I don't know why I want either of these teams. I genuinely don't, but for some reason I'm just drawn into them like a magnet. So
Seahawks
those are probably going to be my
fun.
The Seahawks team looks loaded. I don't know why I wanted them pre or post blip. I still have no idea why, but it's just one of those teams for some reason I'm attached to.
And the Vikings don't even have Cook anymore, so that'll be interesting
they
to see
don't.
where he goes. Or Thielen.
Yeah, that could change the list entirely because he's probably 20. He's late 20s. I don't think he's 30 yet, is he?
7, I think.
Yeah, I mean he's going to be there for at least 4 or 5 seasons, where you can let him run off his contract if you don't actually like him, but he's going to be a good player for whatever team he goes to.
Yep. And then that means we have Finn's next, and we kind of went opposite directions here. I've got Finn's taking the Packers. I think the Packers are a good fit for Finn's. Kind of fit, other than they don't have a quarterback, right? So you got Jordan Love. We have no idea what he's going to be like. I assume they'll just basically where they left off with him.
What he was last year.
Yeah. I assume he'll be similar to that. Maybe they boost him a little bit because he'll be the starter. But the defense was basically pre-built. I mean, that's ready to go. And now you're going to probably have the Jets first round pick and the Packers first round pick. So you have 2 firsts. If they do it the way they did the Colts and the Commanders when they did their conditional picks, they just gave away the top one, and I think the alternate option as well. So I could absolutely see him taking that. He gets a good defense, a good offense, The only thing he really needs is a quarterback, and Finn's generally picks high enough to get a quarterback, especially if he's got 2 first-round picks, and he likes to have that kind of draft capital that he can make moves with too. So I think the Packers are like a perfect fit for him. The only other option I could see would be the Dolphins. Obviously, that's his favorite team, and he only got a shortened cycle with them when he
Yeah.
had the blip. So I could see Finn's to the Packers.
Yeah, I completely forgot the Packers had 2 first picks, so I'm just looking at my list now, like wondering what happens now with that. But yeah, I picked the Chiefs for him. I know right now in Primer and in SML he has the Bengals and the Bills, 2 good quarterbacks, and I think Finns wants to win games.
Yeah,
I think that's, he's a competitor, you can just tell. I mean, obviously he hasn't had the postseason success or even made it there very often, so I went with the Chiefs here. Just have your good quarterback, you're kind of set. He typically drafts pretty well, so you can pick where he wants to draft. You can get some receivers on that team if you think you need them. DBs are pretty good over there, but I feel like it's just a pretty loaded team, and then you can just kind of take best player available.
yeah,
Most
I could
most
see that.
picks.
I definitely,
Dolphins are my backup.
yeah,
Just I feel like that's one of those ones where he just had them recently,
yep.
so it's kind of tough to mock him there. But it is his favorite team, and they are pretty good.
Yeah,
So
and he had him
there's
for a
always threat.
shortened period of time too,
Yeah,
so it wasn't.
exactly.
And I mean, they had Jalen Ramsey. They had the fastest running back in the draft. They should be a fun team. And Tua, I would think, would be fairly decently rated. He had a decent season.
Yeah.
All right, so then that brings up Woods, and we both picked the same on Woods. No prior coordination, but we both went with the 49ers here. To me, it made sense. I think Woods is a really good defensive player, gives him a solid defense right out of the box. And then he gets McCaffrey. The best I saw Woods was when I first came into the SML. He had the Browns, and he had Nick Chubb, and this was before I think Chubb was really good. Maybe he was good then. I don't I don't even remember how much he used him, but
Yeah.
he had Chubb. Then he even got rid of Chubb and got some rookies that he devved. Um, I think Woods is the best when he's got a running back and he's not trying to air the ball out. I think honestly the Chiefs were kind of a bad pick for him because you see what he's done with Pacheco. If he would have had a guy like Nick Chubb or Christian McCaffrey, who I think he would do really well with, especially as the 49ers. He took the Panthers in our pre-blip back when Paulie had the Bucks last cycle. So I could see him going for McCaffrey. You get Trey Lance. Got to imagine Brock Purdy's going to be much improved over what he was rated this year. So that would give you 2 quarterback options. Somebody may trade for one of those. And then, like I said, that ready-made defense. I think the 49ers are a perfect fit for Woods. And outside of that, maybe the Panthers, Jags, or Browns. I could see him going with either of those 3 teams.
Yeah, like you said, I took the Niners as well, but this is one of those teams where it's so loaded you really don't have to build around it, but
Yeah.
it also looks like a fun team because you just have so many playmakers all over the field. You can utilize them however you want. And then defensively, I guess you could just draft DBs all cycle. I know they have like Travarius Ward and that Toya, I don't know what his name is, but he did
Hufunga or
pretty well
whatever.
last
Yeah.
year. He might be a superstar, who knows? Then I think there's like George Odom and like Oren Burks, if I'm remembering the names correctly. They were pretty like athletic guys you can just kind of dev around or while you try and replace. Yeah, and then side note, Mike also said he was gonna take the Niners if they were there. So I don't think that's real, but they have their little rivalry going together,
Yeah.
so that
Yeah. I
could
think
just add fuel to the fire of taking them.
absolutely. All right, so then next up we have Faz, and I've got Faz taking the same team as you. We both agree that he goes back to Jacksonville. He's basically said as much. Um, I don't think he's blowing smoke. I think he would go back to the Jags. I think they're going to be better after the season they had. Won a playoff game, so Trevor Lawrence, you would imagine, is going to be at least upgraded a little bit. They've got
Yep.
plenty of pieces there. The only other teams I could see him going. The Bills, he's mentioned wanting to go back with Josh Allen because he had them pre-blip last cycle. And then another team I thought about for him, we watched him. He goes from Aaron Rodgers, trades away Jordan Love, so he has no backup plan. Just gets a quarterback. Now he did get a superstar, but I mean it's still a low-rated guy in Allen Whiting, and he
Yep.
turns him into an X factor. He's the first or second best quarterback in the league stats wise. So I don't think quarterback matters too much. I think he could take a team like the Commanders. You got a ready-made defense. They drafted a corner, so you're set there. That was kind of a weakness for the Commanders.
Yep.
As long as that defensive line stays as good as it was, and you have the linebackers and now the secondary, they've got two good running backs in Gibson and Robinson. The receivers are loaded with McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, Diami Brown, and
Dotson.
Jahan Dotson. And I just think that'd be a perfect team for him. I know everybody talks about he needs gunslinger, he needs set feet lead, whatever. I don't think he does. I think just take a team that has a quarterback that's cheap, that's not costing you a bunch of cap, and a team that's set everywhere else. And I think he'll do really well with a team like that.
Yeah, I have the Jaguars here as well. Unless Dan plays some ultimate villain arc and Prime goes Colts, he goes Jags. I I don't know. I don't see another world where someone ahead of him takes the Jaguars. But my backup team was the Dolphins. I
Okay.
know he talked about wanting them. I think it was pre-blip. He didn't say he was going to go them, but I think he said they were an interesting team.
Yeah.
So I think with those speed receivers, I don't think he'd keep Tua. I don't think there's any point for him to do that. So probably trade Tua and get some random Sam Howell type guy like
Yeah.
you said, and then dev him up
Zach
with some
Wilson,
throw power.
maybe.
Yeah, Zach Wilson type guy.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. The only one
That team
I
would be scary.
think would take him ahead of him would be Woods, because the Jags are Woods' favorite team, but I don't think he wants to be in a division with Prime. So
No,
again,
no. Yeah, he just went through that with the
Yeah.
Chargers Chiefs, so
all right.
that'd be a boring back.
Yeah. So next up, we got Meats, and we both picked the same on this one too. We both got him going to the Ravens. I know he said that he doesn't like to double up, but Ravens are going to come in as one of the better teams. They just added Odell Beckham. They had a decent draft. I would be surprised if he passed on the Ravens. Other than the AFC, like we talked about, the rosters are going to be stacked. You're going to have a lot of good teams over there, but that Ravens team is really in a good spot. It's his favorite team, and he's not picking 1, 2, 3 like he had been. He's picking lower down there, so it's maybe the Cowboys or Seahawks. I have some other options, but I think it's pretty heavily leaning Ravens right now.
Yeah, my backup team was the Commanders, and I honestly do not remember why it was my backup team. I think just because he lives close to DC,
Okay.
as far as I'm aware. Like you said, though, NFC team, he's done pretty well with what's that guy's name? Matt Corral.
Yeah.
So
Corral.
Sam Howell's kind of the same thing, maybe a little bit better because he actually started a game.
Yeah.
You got kind of the same receiving core in a weird way. Defense, you probably just get a slight upgrade, but yeah, I think the Commanders and the Panthers are kind of similar teams. I just think the Commanders are a little bit better. So
Yeah.
that was my backup. But yeah, like you said, Ravens, if they're there, I definitely think I think it's been long enough since he's had them to go back
That's
to him.
true too. Yeah. All right, and then that means D-Muse is up next, and we both got him taking the Saints' favorite team. He's basically said he wants them again. Outside of them, I could see him maybe taking the Bengals because of the Joe Burrow LSU thing. But I think it's the Saints. I think they'll be there because nobody wants them.
Exactly.
And he'll be able to take his favorite team. And he doesn't have to worry about having a quarterback problem with Winston. And he'll have Derek Carr there, and I think he's excited for that. I think there's something about when your favorite team gets a new quarterback, it makes it a little more exciting to use them because that's the guy you use every snap. And I think same reason there's no chance Prime doesn't take the Colts. You're going to have a brand new quarterback that could make things more fun. I think he takes the Saints here.
Yeah, I've got the Saints as well. Obviously, I feel like this is becoming a common trend where we have the exact same team. I don't know how much longer this is going to go on where we have the same pick, but
this was the last
yeah.
one for a while because then we have
go.
Dump.
Thankfully.
I've got Dump taking the Bengals. He's basically said he wanted the Bengals. I think it was 2 seasons ago watching the playoffs. I'm pretty sure he wanted to pull down Joe Burrow's pants and blow him right there because he was all about Joe Burrow. And I think if the Bengals fall to him here, I think this is probably one of the quickest picks in the draft. He takes the Bengals. And we've seen him. He runs well with Jonathan Taylor. I don't think there's anybody that really wouldn't run well with him. But he keeps a solid running back in Mixon. Jamar Chase immediately better than any receiver he's got right now, and then Burrow better than Fields or whoever he had prior to Fields at quarterback. So the only place I think he maybe takes a little hit is on the defensive side. They're not great on defense, but they're fast, especially in the secondary. They took DJ Turner out of Michigan, and he's the fastest player in the draft. Ran like a 4.2 something. So he's gonna have speed. Cam Taylor Britt. You got Daxton Hill and Tyson Anderson. Lots of speed in that Bengals secondary. I'm starting to talk myself into him, but so I could see Dump running to the podium to take the Bengals here.
Yeah, this if I would have the Bengals available, I'm taking them. But I feel like Dump is the last line for whatever top 5 team somehow slips through, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
the Bills, Bengals, I don't know, the Browns, the Dolphins, the Cowboys, whatever. It's going to be a top team.
Yeah,
It's just going to be whichever the best one available is. And I feel like that's kind of like a healthy spot for it. So no 20th pick gets the Bills. Kind of nice that we just have kind of like a filter sitting here at pick 14 or pick 12.
yeah. And
So,
then, funny enough, you talk about the Bills not dropping. I've got Mike taking the Bills right after Dump takes the Bengals. We've seen Mike go from Ritter to anybody that he can throw out there at quarterback to finally he's back to Ritter. I think when it comes time for Mike's pick, the very first thing he's looking for is, do they have a quarterback that will last the entire time? Whether or not he plays great with them, I think he takes a quarterback no matter what, and I think it's Josh Allen here.
yeah, I think Mike had the Bills in primer. I don't know how long ago that was. I feel like that might have been last game
Last
post
cycle
blip.
pre-blip because he had the Colts in
Okay.
SNL.
Gotcha. Okay. So yeah, I don't know that I'd see him going back. I feel like he likes these fun teams where you get to build it how you want it. And I went with the Commanders here. In theory, he was probably going to have a top 10 pick like most times.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he can get his quarterback there.
That's true.
And then you have your good quarterback, or your good receivers rather, good defense. He can trade prime for more cornerbacks. So
All right.
I went with the Commanders here. I think they're a good team. I don't think they're a top tier team, but I think they'd be a good Mike fit. I know Mike was mocked about taking them. I don't know what year it was. Whenever he had like pick 3 or
The
4.
last two, yeah. I think the
Yeah,
last
I
two
feel like everyone
seasons.
keeps mocking him to the Commanders. We'll just
Yeah.
throw him on Commanders till it comes true.
So next up we got Fig, and we're back on the same page. It's the Dolphins. There's no way in the world that he doesn't take the Dolphins with the fastest rookie running back, 2 of the fastest receivers, to include Tyreek Hill, the fastest receiver, and then on top of that, drafted the fastest running back. There's just no way he doesn't take the Dolphins here. If there's anything Fig likes, it's speed, and they have it in bunches. So I think easiest pick, maybe outside of the Colts, is Fig to the Dolphins.
Yeah, I even asked Finns. I feel like it was pre or post. There's too many blips. I don't even know. Pre-blip this cycle if he would take the Dolphins. And I think he told me there would be zero chance he'd pass on the Dolphins or something along
Yeah.
those lines. So hypothetically, let's say Finns or Faz end up taking them. I think the only other option for him would probably be like the Cardinals, where you have some
Hollywood
speedy
Brown, and yeah,
receivers.
I think he
Yeah.
sorts the rosters by speed, and that's how he decides who he's going to take.
Yeah, whatever the average speed is, that's his team.
Yep. All right. So next up, let's see, who do we have next? Next up, we have Doink. This one was kind of, I felt like up until this point, I felt confident in my picks or pretty good about them. I gave Doink the Vikings, because I know he seems to like the Vikings, and I think they'll be good this year. They lost Thielen, but then they drafted a rookie receiver. Still have Jefferson. I think he'll do fine with Cousins. He's used Zach Wilson. He's used rookies. Doesn't seem to be overly concerned with quarterback. I think he plays a lot better when he has a good quarterback, and when he doesn't, his offense goes downhill very quickly. And maybe losing Dalvin Cook makes this Vikings pick, because I think I did this before Cook even got released. But I could see him taking the Vikings. He was really high on them this cycle, talking about how they were an underrated team.
Mhm.
So I think maybe maybe this year he takes them.
Yeah, the Vikings are a good pick. Obviously, we don't know the abilities yet, but Jefferson will probably have some out or route
Yeah.
technician and route apprentice, and we know Doink loves those. But I went after the Jets for him, mainly to follow me to whatever division I go to, and I have
Okay.
myself as the Pats. But every opportunity Doink has, he's telling us about his or Madden 22 pre-blip team,
That is true.
which had Rodgers and all these weapons and all these defensive players. And hopefully, if we can just let him have Rodgers again, we can put a nail in that coffin, and we can just seal that and never have to listen to it again. So I'm basically begging the league to just let's get this over with. Let's give them the Jets.
All right, I like it. All right, next up is Clink, and I had him taking the Panthers. I think he went kind of both ends of the spectrum this cycle. Pre-blip, he took the Buccaneers. That's a ready-made team, nothing to do with it. I mean, you're talking Brady, everything was set. And he didn't really like that, had no cap room. And then he goes to the opposite end of the spectrum. He takes the Texans, and that's just the world's longest rebuild. And with 4 seasons or whatever we've got, I just don't think it's enough. He finally got a quarterback. He's got some of his receiving pieces. I think he goes with the Panthers. I know they don't have a first-round pick because they traded it in order to get Bryce Young, but he's got his quarterback already in place. I think the Panthers maybe are in a good enough spot where you've got D-Muse there taking the Saints. You still have nobody has the Bucks, nobody has the Falcons, but I think there he thinks he'll be able to win in the NFC South. He'll be able to win in the NFC, and I think that Panthers team, somebody's going to want the number one overall pick being a quarterback. They're going to want that to kind of build their cycle around, and I think that would be a good fit for Clink.
I've got Clint going to his favorite team, the Eagles here. Somehow at pick 5 or 16, they've slipped all the
Yeah.
way through the ranks. I don't know that this is like the type of team Clink wants, where it's you're kind of given a team right off the bat. You don't really have to
Yeah.
build much, but I think this is his favorite team, and they are a good team. I don't think the Texans are necessary at this point in the cycle. Obviously, they're not a bad team. I don't think Clink Clink would even say that. I mean, he's got a good quarterback, good receivers, good running back, okay defense as far as I'm aware. He's got good cornerbacks. I just don't think he's been successful with this game, and so maybe M24 will be different. And with the Eagles, he could do something.
Yeah, and it would be his favorite team, so that absolutely
Yeah.
makes sense. And then they just got, Nolan Smith. They've added so many
Oh yeah.
pieces.
I can't even think of the D tackle's
Jalen
name.
Carter,
Yeah, Jalen
basically
Carter,
the
Nolan
entire
Smith.
Georgia team they added, and
Yeah, even the cornerback in
yeah, I
like the
mean,
second or third round, or
if he
maybe even
decides
later. But
if he wants to move like Jordan Davis, if he's tradable, I mean, he's got Jalen Carter to back him up,
yep,
or wait a season
it,
and move Carter. I mean, there's so many things you
that
can do
team
with
is
that team.
loaded. It's crazy.
Yep. All right, so next up is Tiny, and we're back on the same page here, with the Titans on the board and available, but Prime and Faz being in that division. We've both got him taking the Browns, best team available. I thought this was a no-brainer. He took the Giants this season, this cycle, and he's done really well with Barkley. Browns give him a quarterback, so he doesn't have to go get his Jose, and he'll have receivers. He'll have a better defense, I think, than he's got right now with the Giants. I think the Browns was a pretty obvious pick.
Yep, we're kind of on the same boat again, unfortunately, and this one's Browns or bust for me. It's probably the best team left on the board, but it's also void of any crazy division. I mean, you got Dan in there, but I don't think Tiny's very afraid of Dan. Meat's in there. This one's just. I think he wants a good running back. He's had success with them,
Yeah,
so
and I
and you get
think
all your picks back. I think. I think they're finally done with picks from Watson.
no, the Texans have their pick right now, so
The
they'll have
Texans.
their first round pick. That's the only pick the Texans have this season because they traded the other to the Cardinals.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Yep. Yep.
Um,
Yep. Yep.
but
Well,
it's only one season, and you already have a quarterback, so you're good.
yep. You already have your quarterback and your running back and Miles Garrett, who we didn't even mention.
Yeah,
Who's on the other side of him now? Zadarius Smith.
Zadarius Smith. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean that defense is pretty crazy. You got JOK, who's good user for the cycle, and he'll be cheap. He doesn't have to trade for Albert or not Alberto. What's the
Greek.
guy's name? Yeah, Bobby
Yeah.
Okereke.
Yep.
He doesn't have to trade for him. He's got Denzel Ward, who's almost as good as his rookie.
Yep. You have
Can't
Ward,
think of his
Newsome,
name.
Thornhill, Delpit, Rodney McLeod. Just absolutely
Yeah,
stacked. Um,
team's pretty loaded all over the place.
yeah.
And then with his top five pick, whoever that gets the Texans, they can fix their team up. So
Yep.
it'll be perfect for everyone.
Yep. And so that brings Biz up next. I actually have Biz taking the Commanders here. Biz has kind of been. He had a quarterback, got rid of him, didn't clearly care about having a quarterback. He seemed to want to go after defensive players. Uh, the Commanders seem like a perfect fit in that they have defensive players and no quarterback. So it's basically a ready-made team for him, because he's gonna make them look like that anyway. And so I think the Commanders are a good pick. The other two teams that I had him possibly taking are the Cowboys and the Giants, just because they're some of the better teams I think that would be left at this spot. But I think the Commanders would be a pick that would fit him.
Yeah, I went with the Panthers because they're here. If they're here, it's a lock. It's his
Yeah.
favorite team. He's got a cycle quarterback that he can use for a season in trade. He's you don't have your pick, so I guess it's kind of a good thing he can't trade that away for nothing.
Yeah.
Like I said before, though, I feel like the Panthers and Commanders are kind of comparable in terms of
Hmm.
talent. So I definitely like the Commanders pick there. I feel like he would, if he'd got the Commanders, he'd trade Hal and get Zach Wilson, end up with the
Yeah.
exact same thing he traded away.
Yeah.
So that'd be a funny little arc in his team building.
Yep. All right. So next we got Gutta. This was an easy one. It's his favorite team. If they're there, he's going with the Raiders. Um, and not a bad team either. Max Crosby, Chandler Jones, and then
Yep.
you've got that rookie Tyree Wilson. I
Oh
think
yeah, I forgot they got him.
he's gonna be really good, especially in Madden. So um, I think it's no brainer here. And unfortunately, for RD, he picks after Gutta, but it looks like the Raiders are gonna go one spot ahead of him.
Yeah, if this TC turmoil is true and it's bled into their personal lives, and Gouda now hates QP, doesn't want to be in his division. I have the Cowboys here for him, but
Okay.
I don't know why. I
Yeah.
had to put a second team down. If the Raiders are there, he's taking them.
Yeah. So RD, one pick away from the Raiders. I've actually got him taking the Texans. I know he took the Texans pre-blip, but this is going to be a very different Texans team. He'll still have a first-round pick, which in this scenario would be Tiny's first-round pick, because he'll be the Browns. So you've got basically a top, we'll call it top 10 pick guaranteed. You got a top 10 pick. The Texans come in having C.J. Stroud and Will Anderson. You have two of the top 3 picks from the draft. Um, I think the Texans, as much as he may not want to run it back with a team he just had, he did only have them for a shortened period of time anyway. And he's not a guy that's going to run away from Faz and Prime being in that AFC South, because he's done it before,
Yep.
and made the playoffs. So I could absolutely see him taking the Texans again with a much improved roster.
Yeah, I just went with the Cowboys here. I kind of just did best team available at this point. I mean, you got Micah, Dak, you got CD, you got Pollard. Uh, what's the cornerback's name? The two of them.
Oh,
They're
Diggs?
both good. Yeah, Diggs and Gilmore, who will both be
Yeah.
pretty good for a year. Plus, in my mock, I don't really have any crazy people in that conference yet, so I think he could kind of almost run that conference as it stands. DMUs and maybe QP if the Chargers aren't there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, RD, I got him going to the Cowboys here. But if the Raiders are available,
Yeah,
it's got to be the Raiders.
absolutely. All right, so next up is Noel. We kind of split here. I've got Noel taking the Cowboys. I think they're one of the better teams left. They're in the NFC, so it's a little they're higher towards the top of the rosters of the NFC, in fact. You've got a guy like Micah Parsons, so he'll go from Myles Garrett this cycle to having Micah Parsons next cycle, so he keeps that defensive unicorn, as Matt would call him. He also then keeps a corner, like you just talked about, in Diggs, that's going to have Acrobat and is going to be really good. And then on the offensive side of the ball, you've got Dak Prescott. He did get rid of Deshaun Watson because that contract was killing him. Dak Prescott going to come in, probably superstar, X Factor. Who knows? They may even make another development level just because it's a Cowboys guy. Pollard should be good. He came in post blip rated I think 90, so he's up there. And I think I used to think Noel was really good when he had a good quarterback, but I think it's actually more dependent on the running back. Because looking back, he did have Russell Wilson with the Seahawks, but he also got I'm trying to think which running back he had that had Freight Train, and I can't remember if it was Carson or who it was, but he had a running back
Yeah, it was Carson.
with Freight
I'm
Train.
pretty sure. I don't
Um,
think he got to use it. Didn't he get it and then we drafted? I don't think he ever got to use it.
yeah, I think
Something
I
like
think
that.
that's what happened, but he was using Carson really well and
Oh yeah, for
got
sure.
him
He
to
got
that
him to
point.
dev range.
So
Yep.
I think the Cowboys having a good running back in Pollard and then having those two guys on the defensive side that can just absolutely take over a game, I think that's going to be a pick that he goes with would be the Cowboys. Maybe I could see him going with um, something like the Giants who have a Saquon Barkley, but they don't quite have the game wrecker on defense that the Cowboys do, and I think that's where he goes.
Yeah, the more you the more you talk, the more you convinced me that I liked your pick more than mine. Because I went with the old he needs a good QB route.
Yeah,
I guess I didn't think about it too much, but you are definitely right where it's the running back that's kind of solved everything for him. But right now, I think you got two open spots, so his friend Colt can sneak in to these. And they're not really desirable teams with the Rams being available. Plus, he's got those two early picks, and we know Noel's a hacker and can make all of his drafted players X factor.
that's true.
So yeah, I mean, I know Colt and Noel. They say they're not linked, but every time I look, they end up in the same division somehow.
Yeah,
So with the opening spots and you got your good quarterback and I feel like this team it's not a top tier team but it's not bad especially with those two first round picks
yeah, and if
because
Baker and Simmons don't go anywhere, that keeps them
yep.
very relevant on the defensive side. All right, so next up we got Paulie, and we actually, I mean, we're down at pick 22, and we've got still some guys that are matching up. We both got them taking the Seahawks. Um, for me, it was mostly division, because you've got Woods there, um, and then that's really it. I still have the Cardinals and the Rams yet to be picked, and when you look behind Paulie, you've got Coop, KJ, Colt, two step. Monty, NYT, AJ, Gilbert, Royce, Rowan, and Straw Blacks. I think he would feel okay taking his chances that there would be some not so great teams in there. Where he's picking, there's not a ton of great teams left anyway. And I think the Seahawks, like you talked about earlier, have a lot of young pieces that make them a pretty attractive team, actually. I would be almost surprised to see him fall this far.
Yeah, the Seahawks and the Cardinals are the kind of the two that I flipped back and forth between, but I ended up moving the Cardinals up to Coop or not Coop, Noel here,
Mm-hmm.
and so the Seahawks were kind of the last of the two available. I think it's a good team. If the Cardinals did fall, I think he would be tempted by that, but I think he would regret it. I'm not sure why. I just don't think he'd enjoy that team.
Yeah.
I think he'd enjoy the Seahawks a lot more. You've got three good receivers. You got apparently two running backs now. You just need to figure out that quarterback, but you've
Yeah.
got more than enough movable pieces, or you could just do bad for a season and then end up with your quarterback for the cycle.
Yeah, the only thing I didn't
So,
think about is you're right though. The quarterback could be a problem. He didn't like Goff, and Geno Smith might be just a little too athletic for
yeah.
Paulie's liking. So uh, that could be an issue. But with everything else there and not really a ton of options behind it, I think we could see him go there.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an NFC team, like you said, for the
Yep.
just the competition alone. So I think the Seahawks are a pretty safe bet, and they're a good team.
All right. So next we got Coop, and I've got Coop taking the Bucks. I felt like they were the best team available here. He doesn't necessarily take the best team available, um, but he tried that with the Seahawks, and it's gone terrible. So I think maybe this coming cycle he takes something like the Bucks. He can continue to go get drunk at the top of mountains and not have to worry about his team because outside a quarterback they're going to be really good, and then you just use one pick, get a quarterback, and suddenly you have a full roster.
Outside of Coop taking his favorite team in the Chiefs, the three drafts I've been here for, I feel like he's taken the most obscure teams. He took the Jaguars, the Seahawks, and I forget what the other one was off the top of my head, but
Yeah, I can't
I
remember.
think it's got to be three. Maybe it's only two. I don't know. But I went with the Falcons here. I feel like they're in that same tier where it's like, in theory, they should be a pretty usable team. They got Jesse Bates on the back end now. You got AJ Terrell. You got Pitts. You got Bijan Robinson. You just have so many good players in so many different spaces that I think it'd be a fun team to go with. It's one of the teams I would consider for
Yeah.
one of my leagues. I don't know which one, but I think it sounds like a fun team.
Yeah, absolutely. I like the way the Falcons roster looks. Then we have KJ. We went opposite directions here. I have KJ looking at the board right now. With what I have left, he would be picking between the Titans, Giants, Bears, Falcons, Lions, Cardinals, Patriots, Broncos, and Rams. Already had the Rams. I don't think he has any desire to run it back with the team. He was the
No.
Giants before the blip last cycle. Um, I think he sees the teams that are there, sees the Titans. That's his favorite team. Who cares if it's Faz and RD and Prime in there? Because let's face it, KJ is gonna probably win 2 games this season anyway, if that. And might as well do it with your favorite team. And uh, the Titans falling to him seems like the perfect fit.
Yeah, I was dancing between the Vikings and the Giants. What went away or what decided it for me was him having the Giants in Madden 22
Mm-hmm.
pre-blip. But he left with like a in the middle of the season, and that was only a 2 season pre-blip. So I
That's
don't
true.
know how much he actually got to play with that team. So I would didn't count it out completely, but I did go with the Vikings in the end. I just think they're a better team. So
Okay.
I think, with Jefferson should be fun. You got some defensive pieces with Daniil Hunter and whatever the safety that has like 1 year before he retires, Harrison Smith.
Oh yeah.
Lewis Cian's good. I think it's probably one of the best teams left. So,
Yeah.
and you probably have an early pick you can replace Cousins with pretty early. I don't think you have to worry about that like most people would. So,
Exactly.
whatever team I think he thinks is the most fun, he's going to go with.
Yep.
But for
So
me, the Vikings seem the most fun.
so the next pick is Colt, and we're back on the same pick again. Obviously the team's getting less and less, so it makes it more likely. But we both haven't taken the Giants. To me, this team is absolutely perfect fit for Colt. Number one, he stays in Noel's division because I have Noel taking the Cowboys, so he can take the Giants and they can stay together and continue to be the same person. And then the team just seems like a perfect fit for him. I don't think he needs a great quarterback because what he's going to do is he's going to throw to his halfback and he's going to throw to his tight end. Um, and then he needs one fast receiver, which he'll have in Slayton. And he's got Darren Waller
And
and he's
Hyatt
got
now
Saquon
too.
Barkley. Yeah, and Jalen Hyatt now. So I think the Giants. I mean, if Colt was doing a fantasy draft, the Giants may be the team he builds. So
Yeah,
I think
this
it's a perfect fit.
you actually kind of swayed me on this one. I know originally I was thinking about putting KJ as the Giants, but then you reminded me that he took him pre-blip. And then thinking about it now, you're right. I mean, he only throws to the running back and to the tight end primarily. So having one of probably like a top 3 pass catching tight end right off the rip
Yeah.
is probably the way to go for him. And then Saquon can do anything. So you're pretty set there. And I know he loves his fake field goals now. If he drafts someone, a rookie, he can just throw Danny Dimes in 88 speed and run fake field goals or
Yep.
whatever he wants to do with that. So I'd like that pick there by you. So I followed it.
All right. So now is where things get interesting, because we all know NYT came back. You're going to be coming back at some point, and that means somebody's got to go. And I don't think Prime is going to look at it and say, "Straw Blacks, you were the last one in. You're the first one out," because we've seen him do a lot of commentary. He's done a lot of additional stuff, and I think that puts somebody on the chopping block. And it looks like you have that being Two Step. I have Two Step taking the Bears here. Two Step kind of a wild card. He'll just take whoever. We've seen him go from uh, the Bengals, Vikings. I've seen him all over. Um, no real plan or kind of
Yeah.
consistent type of team. So I've got him taking the Bears here as a team that's going to have 2 first-round picks, his and then the Cardinals, which I haven't even had picked yet. So I think he takes them. But you have him gone, and you have Monty making a pick here.
Yeah, in theory, mine's either Monty or TTS. It was nice that they were right back to back, so it kind of made this easy on me. Either TTS will retire or Monty, he says he has to leave for personal
He does
reasons
leave
every other
everything.
week. So I'm just banking on maybe he helps Prime make a tough decision because I definitely do not see Strawblax going back to Primer. I mean, he got like 55 points in his first season. The only thing he was lacking, I think, was Twitter, and that's probably the easiest points to acquire. So he'll probably be a 60-point guy pretty
Oh, and he was
regularly.
missing Twitter. Oh, I did go through and see his Twitter. That's right. He didn't have a lot of time to hit those
Yeah, I don't know
KPIs.
how many games he had since he was an interim guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like he honestly he probably had enough to get 18 tweets or whatever, but I don't know if he realized how many points those were worth. And so I kind of picked a team that could fit either Monty or TTS, and I
Okay.
just took the Packers because they're the best team available for me. Uh, like I said earlier, I didn't actually I forgot they had, or did they? Oh, yeah, I forgot they had the two picks from the Jets,
Yeah.
and so I didn't really account that. So somehow I have them down here in the bottom, like 10 picks. But I think they're the best team available. And the only other alternative to that, I could see Monty maybe going after the Titans. I think he would see that Chad talks about Freight Train a lot whenever he pops in, and he
Yeah.
would chase that. And I don't think he's afraid to join a division with Prime or Faz. And they have Big Jeff Simmons covering up the middle. I know he loves using those guys. And, he could switch between Malik and Will Levis. The more I say it, the more I kind of like it. But
Yeah.
we're going to stick with the Packers for
Okay.
either one of them, whichever one's here.
So I've got Monty picking next. I've got him taking the Falcons. Um, I think Monty's the guy that he can develop a quarterback. He throws enough and with enough volume that he's going to get in that dev range, and I think he could do something with Ritter. Bijan Robinson is going to be I think light years better than what he's got in Javonte Williams, who he already got to X Factor. So I think he'll have a running back. He'll have Drake London, Kyle Pitts. So I think his offense will be set, and then I think the Falcons' defense is good enough with Troy Anderson running around as the user. I think he'll be able to do something there if they keep him uh, as usable as he was this cycle. So I could see him being the Falcons. Did I lose you?
No, I
Oh,
already did my Monty, so I'm kind of just
oh, okay. Well, you have okay. So you
chill.
have an NYT picking next.
Yes. So, oh, I see what you're doing now. I
Okay,
forgot that
I'll tell you what.
you
So
had a
so I'll
TTS.
yeah. So you can do your NYT. You're basically going to be one person ahead of me the rest of the way. So we'll just
Gotcha.
start with
Okay.
you. So
I thought you were
NYT for
pulling them
you.
down by the same time. All right, NYT. I've got him going the lines here. Mainly, I think he's gonna go best team available. That's in the NFC. I don't think he wants to join some crazy stack division, and unfortunately for me, he's gonna end up joining you and Monty, who isn't going to be a very winnable division, but he went for those speed receivers in the draft. We always see
Yeah.
him go after those. He starts off with Jamison Williams. He's not going to get that 6 week suspension like in real life. Goff he can replace, but I'm a Goff believer, so he can use him for a year. He likes using that D line, and he has the rookie last year, whatever his name is, I forget.
Hutchinson. Yeah.
Yeah, Aiden Hutchinson. I feel like this is just a good team for him. So I think it's one of the best teams left, and they're in the NFC. You can't get much better than that.
Yeah. So I've got basically for the same reasons. I've got NYT also taking the Lions.
Oh,
But
convenient.
then my the way it shook out though gives him two step as the Bears, and then the Packers are Finns, and the Vikings are Doink. So it's a much more winnable division, and then obviously everything you just listed holds true. So I think the Lions picking down there to get a division like that, I think he'd be more than happy.
Yeah.
All
And
right.
then,
So you have AJ
or,
next.
okay, yeah. AJ, I've got him going to the Texans. I feel like that should be a fun team for AJ. You got a running back that you can use. It's not like Derrick Henry where his COD is like 85 and you can't do his little wiggles behind the line of
Yeah.
scrimmage. You're in a division that's going to be pretty loaded. I've got Prime and Faz in there right now only, and I don't think he's going to shy away from competition. I think AJ is going to go head on. He wants to be known as the next big thing, so he's got to act like he's the next big thing and go right into the lion's den and come out with two heads. So I think that's what he's going to do with this pretty good Texans team that's kind of falling because of the conference or the division.
Okay. So I've got him taking. Let me unveil it here. I've actually got him taking the Cardinals. Cardinals with the 2 first picks makes them a little more attractive. They'll have Kyler Murray. He faced the Cardinals a lot in primer when he was the 49ers and Royce was the Cardinals. So he's seen what they can do. And then you're going to lose J.J. Watt, which I don't know if that's that big of a loss. He was kind of downgraded more and more every year anyway. But as long as they keep Budda Baker and they keep Isaiah Simmons, I think the Cardinals are a solid team. I can't imagine Kyler Murray will be that bad. Maybe they will drop him down a little, but either way, he's going to be in a division, at least the way I have it, with if he's the Cardinals, then you've got Paulie as the Seahawks, you've got Woods as the 49ers, and then the Rams still haven't been picked yet, so there's still a chance Gilbert can take them. So I think I could see him taking the Cardinals here. Not a lot of options. All right.
Yeah.
So you've got Gilbert up next.
Yep, I've got Gilbert and I've got him going to the Bucks. I think they're another one of those sneaky good teams. All you really need is a quarterback, and he's going to have the 101 next year. He's going to. And so you can basically solve that immediately. Baker is not that great in real life, but in Madden, you can definitely trade him
Yeah.
away. Let's say Doink takes the Vikings. I'm sure Doink will be all over a 28 or so year old quarterback with 90 something throw power for relatively cheap because Gilbert sells them for nothing. And then you can kind of finish out the NFC South there. They've got Coop, Dom, and Biz, and obviously Dom's going to win the division every single time.
Yep.
But Coop and Biz, he can steal a win or two, and I think that's what Gilbert should be focused on the most.
So I've got Gilbert taking the Patriots. When it gets down to here, for me, it's Patriots, Broncos, and Rams. And I think the Patriots not nearly as bad as they may seem. I know Mac Jones got his little noodle arm, but we've seen Dom do stuff with that. We've seen Matt do well with low throw power. They're going to have some speed on that team. They didn't just draft an unknown guard this year. They got Christian Gonzalez. They've got some pieces this year, and I think they'll be probably picked lower than they actually should be, because I do think you pass on them. But I think this is, of the 3 left, Patriots are probably the best team.
Yep.
All right, so then you have Royce picking next.
Yep, and I've got Royce going to anywhere that isn't the AFC South. He'll take the Broncos, the Rams, or Primer. I don't think he wants anything to do with Prime, Faz, and it maybe even AJ down there too. I don't know Royce much, but I know him and Faz don't have the best of history, so I can't imagine he wants anything to do with that. So I basically just have him down here at the bottom. It's about who you're avoiding, not so much who you're taking, and I have him avoiding that AFC South.
Yeah, so where I have him picking, it's the Broncos and the Rams. And so to me, that's a fairly easy choice.
Yep.
I think the Rams have some. I say some. They have a nice piece in Aaron Donald, but you have no idea how long it's going to be till he retires. So I think he goes with the Broncos. You deal with Russell Wilson being your quarterback. Hope for the best there, but you still have some other pieces in Surtain, Jerry Jeudy, Javonte Williams, a bunch of other things you can build around and just kind of wait till you can get rid of Russell Wilson, as
Yeah, that
opposed to the
team,
Rams that have nothing really.
exactly. Those teams are kind of similar. It's just one's in an easier conference, the other one has a little bit more talent. And I think he's going to go with the more talent. I think he can win games. He doesn't need to bank on a 5-12 wild card spot. He can just kind of take the Broncos, hope to, get that 10-7 wild card spot, and then do well from there. But your best bet's probably to hope Russell Wilson retires early. I know his attributes weren't that bad
Yeah.
this year, even though he was like 77 overall, but I can't imagine they're going to be much better
Yeah.
than last year.
So then we have Rowan. We both have Rowan actually taking the Rams. I have the Rams as the last pick. You still have one more with Straw Blacks.
hmm
I have the Rams, worst team for CFM in my opinion, and I have them going dead last to Rowan.
Yeah, the Rams, I guess I can talk about why I didn't have them go to the Titans.
Okay.
I think just, that division right now is in mine, it's Faz, AJ, and Prime. And kind of for the same reason Royce is, I don't think Rowan wants to be the third or fourth best team in a division. I think if he goes to the Rams, he can have some immediate success because you do still have Cup and you have Stafford for at least a year.
Yeah.
I don't know how long Stafford's going to be usable. Cup, I don't know if that really fits Rowan's like archetype, but it's not the Titans. It's better than anything the Titans have at receiver, and I don't think he wants to be in that AFC South for the same reason as everyone else above.
Yeah, so that would leave Strawblacks with just the Titans. On my side, I don't have a pick for him, but I do think on my side. So my last 5 picks, or last 5 on my list, are AJ Gilbert, Royce, Rowan, and Strawblacks. I think somebody in between AJ and Strawblacks will be one of the ones gone. Monty is probably a good bet too, because every other day it's Monty's not going to be able to be here because he's got work schedule, school schedule, 6 kids on the way. I don't. He's got more kids than Nick Cannon at this point, but
He was engaged, he was married, and then he was engaged again,
yeah. And then he was living in a box or something. I don't.
and then his
Divorced. I don't
PlayStation
even.
broke.
Yeah, I don't even know. He's every day is another story with him. So I could see he would be a solid pick. I don't think Two Step will be the one gone. I don't think he's going to retire, and he's been here. I think from the beginning. So I
Yeah, I definitely. Those two being back to back helped me a lot because I didn't have to pick one way or the
yeah.
other. It'd be that guy that points one of the points the finger at either one of them. So I'm just gonna say it's one of them and
Okay.
keep my mouth shut. So for Straw Blacks, obviously he doesn't get a pick here at all, but I kind of think he'd be happy with this Titans team. You get to go right into AJ, Faz,
Mm-hmm.
and Prime, which could be maybe the best division of all time. I'm sure I'm missing something.
It would
Maybe the
it'd be a pretty good
Monty,
division.
Monty U, QP, and Spades could have been something special.
Maybe we did replace
But
Spades with RD. RD was pretty good too by the
yeah,
end.
Hardy, yep.
Um,
Yeah, that was maybe right now the toughest division of all time, but you do have the big thing in Prime. You have Baz, who's, the next thing, and then you got the next big thing
yeah.
in AJ. And then Straw Blacks is,
And I
he's
don't think the
good.
Titans are that bad. You got Derrick Henry.
I hate them, but I was also them for like 5 seasons,
So
so I
what
can
I
never
what
see
I like
myself
about
stomaching
them
it.
actually though is you have Tannehill, you have Malik Willis, who someone will spend something on, and then you have Will Levis too. So you have 3 quarterback options there that you've got some flexibility with. Now you may not actually have a quarterback at all, but you've got 3 that might have a little bit of value somewhere, and then you have 3 Titans fans in the league, so you can always kind of move somebody for a premium to one of
Yeah, I
those
feel
3.
like that's honestly maybe a problem because you have three okay maybe quarterbacks, but
Yeah,
Straw's also a good player, so you're never gonna have the quarterback. I don't. Willis is probably gonna be something like 95 throw power, 60 accuracies for some unknown reason. With Paranoid, he's gonna be throwing balls. Every other ball is gonna be haywire.
that's true. But I think
Malik
Straw might be
Willis,
good enough to use one of those a guy like that, like Levis or Willis, and then get him to where he's good outside of
maybe
his physical
it's.
attributes.
It's very possible. I don't know if he's going to be able to dev him. I know he has to play Prime's defense,
That's
Faz
true. Yeah,
defense, AJ defense. I don't know if AJ plays defense. I guess I haven't really played him, but just playing it's not like you're getting the 300-yard games in
yeah,
the division, which is going to be 6 of your
that's
games,
true.
which those, over the course of a season, that really accounts for what, like 30% of your deving. So he's probably going to get a lot of picks, but as long as he stays under 15 picks, he should be able to get a dev.
That's
So he
right.
should be good there.
Stay under that magic number.
Yep.
All right, so that's been our mock draft. We'll see. This will be obviously archived on the YouTube channel, so we'll be able to go back and see how many we get right. Traditionally, though,
Yeah,
like
I'd
I
like at
said,
least 5.
oh, I think we'll have at least 5. I would bet 7 or 8,
Yeah,
easy.
I feel like the first 16 or so were pretty easy, and then it kind of spiraled out of control.
Yeah.
So,
Well, then the bottom ones are usually pretty easy
yep,
too because
very true.
they're not really a pick. But
Very true.
all right, if anybody actually did stick around for the whole hour and 3 minutes, appreciate you watching, and I'm sure we'll have another one coming up, not in the
In a
too far
week.
distant future. Yeah, who knows? But thanks for watching, guys. Bean, thanks for putting this together, and we'll see how it turns out.
Yep. Thank you.